Great job, guys. Everyone completed the quick review, and we took a moment to review the answers, see what the concepts were. I did notice after reviewing the quick reviews that there were two questions that we missed. I'd like to take a moment just to cover those with you, make sure that we fully understand the concepts so that we're confident divers, rescue divers in particular. But let's take a moment to review those. First off, I noticed number 11 here. Before attempting an in-water rescue, you should consider weather. We'll go into detail in just a moment on the answer to that one, but I also noticed number 13 here, when responding from a boat or the shore to a responsive diver needing help on the surface, the equipment you take may vary, but you will almost always want one of the following, right? So let's take a moment to review that. While we go through this, make sure and take some notes, ask any questions you might have. I want to make sure everybody fully understands this before we jump in the water. So, to find the true answer to question 11 here, remember these three considerations before attempting a rescue. First off, do you even need to get in the water at all, right? It's always safer to rescue individuals from shore if you have the ability to do so. Always keep that in the back of your mind, whether it's using a pole or a flotation device of some sort. Another interesting topic, do you have the equipment and training necessary for your safety and the victim's safety, right? You need to make sure that you're prepared with the tools that you need to perform the rescue and of course the training as well, and that's why we're all sitting here. So looking further into it, can you reasonably expect to accomplish the rescue without getting into trouble yourself? Have you taken the time to view the scene, see what the scenario is like before you jump in and begin the rescue? So moving back to question 11, what would be the most obvious answer for this here? And I can jockey back to it if you would like. So at question 11, as you can see, we just covered all these topics. Before attempting an in-water rescue, you should definitely consider whether or not you need to enter the water at all, right? Always to say as safe as possible when performing these rescue exercises or rescues in real life. Now back to question 13, when responding from a boat or from the shore to a responsive diver needing help on the surface, the equipment you take may vary, but you will almost always want. Let's take a look at the key concepts here to determine what those might be. Now, if you recall in the training, with the responsive diver at the surface, when responding from a distance, it's always imperative you take mast fins, snorkel, and a flotation device if available. Keep in mind your BC can act as a flotation device if that happens to be your only tool available there. Enter water as close as possible to the distressed victim, whether you're from boat or from shore. Keep your head up and eyes on the victim. Maintain eye contact with them throughout the entire rescue. Pace yourself so you don't put yourself in unneeded stress while doing so. And of course, stop out of reach. Evaluate the victim's mental state and equipment. Don't forget you can always talk a victim through almost a self-rescue as well, if you can do so. Establish buoyancy and use emergency flotation device to tow the victim back to safety. All of these concepts are very important when attempting to rescue a victim in the water or performing a rescue scenario like we will do in the coming days. This weekend, we're actually going to perform rescue scenario 2 from a boat, and I'd like to take you through a scenario here where some of these concepts will play out in real time. So as students, we'll be on the boat, and I'll do my best here to be a wonderful artist, but let's consider that to be the waterline and your boat coming down. Let's say we have a diver out here on the surface, responsive but needing assistance, and you're standing on the back of the boat here on the swim step. What would be our first thing that we would want to consider doing is attempting to reach the diver, whether it's through a pole or a throwing device, to allow that person to maintain positive buoyancy before we actually perform an in-water rescue. So we throw out a rescue buoy, and of course it doesn't quite get there, right? So what's the next step? The next step is to perform that in-water rescue as safely as possible. To do so, remember we need to grab our mast fins and snorkel, and we'll swim out to the surface to rescue that diver. Keep in mind when performing this rescue, you already threw the life ring in the water. If that's available to you and close to you, you can actually take that and extend it to the victim as well to allow them to stay positively buoyant on the surface. and further bring them back safely to the boat. Does this concept make sense to everybody? Perfect. We're going to perform this in real time this weekend. Another tool that we didn't discuss here that's always available on a dive boat and from a dive operator operating from shore is an oxygen kit. Oxygen kits are imperative for the use in the rescue diver course in performing real-life rescues. I actually have a class next week that I would love and encourage all of you guys to sign up for. It's the PADI Emergency Oxygen Provider course. There's no dives necessary. It's a great way to learn about the uses of oxygen, the reasons why you would need to use oxygen, and how to properly administer it to those individuals if for any reason you have to do so. So we've got the oxygen course next week. I hope to see you all there. But in summary, let's go back and discuss the topics that we just covered here. So first and foremost, question 11, as we discussed, before attempting an in-water rescue, you should consider whether or not you need to enter the water at all, right? If you can perform it from shore or by the boat without ever getting in the water, that's the safest scenario for everyone. As well as question 13 here, when responding from a boat or the shore to a responsive diver needing help on the surface, the equipment you take may vary, but will almost always want your mask, fins, and snorkel, right? Those are your key pieces of equipment. Make sure and take those with you, have them readily available, and if for any reason you do have to perform a rescue, they'll be right there waiting for you. Does anybody have any quick questions or anything to review on those two concepts? Perfect. Well, let's grab our gear, pack up our stuff, and get ready for our in-water training.